Hello everyone, my name is Joanne Rojas and I'm the Research Project Coordinator for the STARS pilot. This brief video is to give you some instructions for how to do the qualitative coding of the STARS survey responses. I want you to notice that my email is right here on the front page, the front slide, and it's joanne.rojas@uky.edu. If you have any questions at all, I want you not to hesitate to be in touch with me. So this summer, all providers were invited to take the STARS survey, and they were asked to provide feedback on all of the new proposed standards for the STARS rating system. They were presented with every standard in all of the categories. Categories included such things as family involvement, community engagement, assessment, staff qualifications, etc. At the end of each of these sections, where they were able to tell us whether or not they felt they could meet standards, there were open-ended questions. The first group of these questions were open-ended questions regarding why they could not meet a particular standard within a category. The second group of open-ended questions that you'll be helping us to code are additional comments that they had regarding the overall category of standards. There will really be 4 steps, 3 or 4 steps to this kind of coding. What will happen is you will be presented with each comment, whether it's a reason why they could not meet a standard or whether it's an additional comment regarding a standard, and you will first of all decide what sort of tone is in the comment. Secondly, you'll categorize it by the type of comment. Third, you will go into some additional pull-down categories regarding the type of comment. And then finally, if it's necessary, you will provide your own additional code for clarity purposes. First of all, with tone, there'll be 3 choices that you'll have. A tone can be negative. For example, if someone says, "It is too hard to achieve this standard." It can be neutral. "I cannot meet this standard because I don't have enough staff." Or it can be positive. "I believe that we should all be striving to meet this standard because it is important." You will choose one of these and then you will go on to the next section. The next section is the category of comment. You will decide whether the comment applies to the population, the provider, or if it has something to do with technical assistance. If you select population as the category that the comment concerns, you'll have 4 possible choices that you can choose. It can be something having to do with the parent's interest, the parent's time, children's needs, or it could be a community issue. If you select the provider, your choices there will be staffing size, staff educational level or skill, budget issues, scheduling/time issue, or a provider site or building issue. And your third option, technical assistance, here there are quite a few options because the variety of comments that people provide covers all of these areas. A person might not understand the standard. That person might not believe the standard is relevant to their setting. They might not believe it's measurable or possible to document the standard. They might say that it is too much of a burden to meet the standard. They might say that they're making progress on the standard but have not yet achieved it, or occasionally they might say that they are achieving the standard but in a different way. Occasionally, it might be necessary to add a code. This will happen in a few different kinds of situations. Sometimes a comment will be quite long and it talks about different things. In that case, you may select more than one category and add the codes for that category, or if there's a section of that comment that does not fit any categories, you'll add a new code. Sometimes, even if it's a short comment, it might be that none of the categories capture the response, in which case you can add a new code. And usually when you have problem coming up with a code from the existing codes, it'll probably be because it's in one of the more general comments section, not one of the specific reasons why they're not meeting a standard. You will be invited by email to participate in the Qualtrics survey, which will be how we will code this data that we got from the other Qualtrics survey that we sent out this summer. When you receive your email, you'll see, just like on the screen here, either a link that you can click to take the survey, or if necessary, you can cut and paste the URL to get to the survey. Each of these links will be unique to you, and each of you will go through different groups of standards. There is so much data that we have randomly assigned it to people, and each standard or each response to each standard will be coded by at least 2 people. You will be working independently, and then later, once the data that you've submitted has been collected, we will look at the responses to see if we have agreement on coding of the standards. If there is not agreement, we'll bring in a third rater who will break that tie. When you follow the link, it will bring you to a web page that will look something like this. Here is an example of a comment regarding a level 4 or 5 standard. The standard is an agreed upon percentage of staff who have direct supervisory authority over a child hold IECE certification or hold a letter of exemption. And then some of those people who responded that they could not or did not meet the standard provided the following responses. So what you'll do is you'll read the standard, as we just did, and then you'll look to try to categorize the tone and of the standard and the category of the comment. So first of all, one person said they could not do it because it does not apply to our program. In my opinion, that's a neutral response. Does not apply to our program. Would that be population, provider, technical assistance? That would be a provider issue. They're a provider that does not need to have this sort of certification. Perhaps that provider was a certified home. What is the agreed upon percentage? Now this, again, I feel that's a neutral response. So I'll click on neutral. But this one, rather than being a population or provider kind of a comment, they're asking a question regarding technical assistance. So I'm going to click on technical assistance. The next response, Head Start only in this setting. Again, a neutral response, not particularly positive or negative. I would say that's a provider issue. And we only have one preschool classroom with an IECE teacher. That's just a neutral statement of fact, and that again is a provider issue. Once you've finished coding on this page, you will click the arrow at the bottom to go to the next page and continue to code this same comment. So here it shows you the comment again, and it says if population is selected, then what kind of comment is it? But there's no additional spaces here because we didn't say that any of these were population comments. Going on to the next section, we had 3 that we said were provider issues, and then you can work on the pull-down menu. So if provider is selected, then what kind of comment is it? Does not apply to our program. Let's see, is that a staffing size, staff educational level, budget issues? I would say that's a provider site or a building issue because it has to do with the site of the provider. Head Start only this setting has to do with the provider site. We have only one preschool classroom with an IEC teacher. Here I would say perhaps only one, they do have one with that, so they only have one with that skill level. Going on to the next section, or the next comment regarding this, about the percentage of staff, the person was asking, what is the agreed upon percentage? So, do they not understand the standard, don't believe it's relevant to the setting, don't believe it's measurable, too much of a burden, making progress, or achieving the standard in a different way? I think here it's simply a matter of they don't know what the percentage is, so they don't understand the standard. As you move down, if you needed additional clarity, you could fill that in here. For these standards, I think the categories met them pretty well, but if you wanted to add an additional code, you would simply type it in. Here is my additional code, and you could put in what the code was and why you chose that code. You can do that also here. Some of these boxes, unfortunately, are a little bit small, but you'll see that you can continue to type in these boxes, and it will continue to take your text. There's a little glitch in the program. So, going on, and then what you would do, once you finish all of this, you can go on to the next standard. You also are allowed to go back. If you decided that you miscategorized something, once you got to this page, you can go back to the previous page and change, oh, that's negative, or oh, this is population. Or if you decided something did legitimately cover two different issues, you could click on that twice if it was both a population and a technical assistance issue. And then you will just continue to go through the categories like this. You see, when I added that population, then it added it here, that I could add an additional pull-down comment. When you are taking this survey, you can go back to it multiple times. You must follow the unique link that is sent to you in the email. And as you get to the end of the survey, there is a final page that once you click on the final page, it's clearly marked. You're finished with the survey. You do not want to click on that page until you're 100% certain that you are finished with the survey. As you go through, as I mentioned, you can go back and change codes as necessary. But I want to encourage you as much as possible to code within the categories that we have. There's a lot of data to get through, and if as much uniform coding as we have will save time for analysis on the other end. Again, if you have any questions, I want to encourage you to get in touch with me via email, and I want to encourage you to go back to this video to answer questions that you have as well. I thank you very much for your time. The coding that you're going to do for us is very valuable, and I look forward to looking through it and analyzing the results once you've coded this data. Thanks again very much.